Welcome to the Illuma Newsroom! Atlantis, the Lost Empire, has come to Lorcana in force. Let's take a dive into these spicy new cards. Well, first the least spicy, the vanillas. Kita, Atlantean, and Milo Thatch, Clever Cartographer, are the usual 1-ink 2/2/1 lores we see in every set, though Kita is notable in having Atlantean flavor text. It's a transliteration of Welcome to the Inklands. Milo is notable only in that he has a Floodborn to shift onto him, King of Atlantis. An Emerald 4/4/3 lore for 7, uninkable with shift 4, and when he's banished, return all opposing characters to their player's hands. So there's a lot to like here. Being shiftable, he can immediately either quest or swing out and kamikaze himself to trigger right away. However, there are a few cards seeing a lot of play right now that you don't really want to bounce, most notably Imperious Queen. However, being able to wipe the board while keeping yours intact is very nice and is why Grab Your Sword is so strong. There's one other Milo Thatch, Spirited Scholar, a Ruby 2/2/1 lore for 2 with, if he's at a location, he gets +2 strength. This seems very meh. Unless we get a way to move characters to locations for free, there's really no reason to run him over Arrogant Hunter. More playable is Audrey Ramirez, a Sapphire 2/5/2 lore for 5 with ward and when she quests, ready an item. So already her base stats are great. Grant for the Clock sees plenty of play even when not using his resist granting, and I could see Audrey making item decks more viable if we get items you want to exert multiple times per turn, which we have! Several Amethyst ones, the Sorcerer's Hat and Spellbook, Magic Mirror, Ursula's Cauldron, but also things like Lantern, Sleepy's Flute, or Mouse Armor. Yes, I think Audrey is absolutely going to find a place in the meta, as ward is the exact keyword you want to see on a character with an on-quest ability. Moving to our villains, we've got Helga Sinclair, Right-Hand Woman, a Steel 2/4/1 lore for 3 with Challenger +2. She seems solid, especially in draft, though it should be kept in mind that there are really no decks in the meta running Prince Naveen's or Steamboat Pilots, so I don't see her finding a place in Constructed. However, Lyall Tiberius Rourke, I think, will see quite a bit of play. He's a 2/4/1 lore for 3, uninkable, with when you play him, give another character Reckless, and when one of your other characters is banished, each opponent loses a lore. That's nuts! We may see a shift toward Emerald as Amethyst's partner in Bounce purely from this card. Handing out Reckless so early lets Rourke shut down aggro decks while providing a body, and doing so a turn sooner than Jasper would be able to, though only once. In addition, whenever you lose a character by challenging into those aggro cheap characters, they lose ground. Rourke is the perfect anti-aggro card, and I can't wait to try him out. Rounding out the cards from this cult classic box office bomb, we got Heart of Atlantis, a 4-ink uninkable item you can exert to reduce the ink cost of a character by 2. So a double lantern, but remember it's a double lantern that Audrey can ready. With Audrey able to quest, Heart of Atlantis can reduce a character's cost by 4. On turn 6, with Audrey and Heart in play, you could play 10 ink worth of characters. Now, granted, neither Amber nor Sapphire have any cards costing more than 7 right now, but that's still a lot of value. And keep in mind, this is Sapphire, so you could have gotten here even a turn sooner with one jump ahead. But we got more than just Atlantean reveals. In Emerald, we also got Morph Space Goo, a 2/1/1 lore for 2 that you can shift any Floodborn of any name onto. This blob is a game changer. Bell, Hidden Archer, and Beast Tragic Hero now have viable shift targets, letting Beast come out earlier, and Bell maybe actually see play. I think if you're running an Emerald deck with any Floodborn, you want to run Morph just as a way to add more reliability to your shifting, as well as to try to disguise what you're planning to shift. However, Morph is very vulnerable, having 1 willpower and no protective keywords, so he might not end up working very well against Ruby or Steel. In Ruby, we first get another Jim Hawkins, Thrill Seeker, who is a zipping around clone. The only thing relevant to say here is this leaves the possibility of a Floodborn Jim Hawkins, which I would love to see. More interesting is Prince Eric, Expert Helmsman, a 2/2/2 lore for 4 with when he's banished, banish something else. So the better version of Namari Nemesis. I think this is going to see a lot of play, but somewhat counterintuitively will discourage Amethyst Ruby decks. The best way to deal with him is going to be non-banish removal, which Ruby doesn't have, and Amethyst only has limited access to. Prince Eric is too expensive to befuddle, and hitting him with Scary Beyond All Reason is kind of a waste of that character. You'd much rather deal with him with a Let It Go or Mother Knows Best, encouraging Ruby Sapphire or Ruby Emerald play. Then there's Dela Duck, Unstoppable Mom, a 3/3/0 lore reckless for 2 uninkable. So Dela is the mother of Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and is apparently fleshed out more in the 2017 DuckTales reboot. As a card, she seems pretty okay. Arrogant Hunter does see a decent amount of play, particularly as a shift target for Intellectual Powerhouse, but Dela's more survivable while still able to take out most of the same things. I think she'll see some competitive play, though her uninkability is something to keep in mind. Rounding out this ink color is another DuckTales card, Sumerian Talisman, a 3-ink item that lets you draw a card whenever one of your characters is banished in a challenge during your turn. This is insane and I love it. This is a Queen of Hearts sensing weakness that is harder to get rid of and is miles better than Dinner Bell. This may be what gets the Ruby Steel Oops All Challenges deck a place in the competitive meta, though I hope we also see more Steel cards that allow challenging of ready characters. Moving to Sapphire, we get the rampiest ramp spell that ever ramped. Friend Like Me, a 5-cost song that inks the top 3 cards of every player's deck. Now, helping your opponent ink is a very big downside, particularly since they get to use the extra ink first, it comes out exerted. However, the deck running this will structure itself to make better use of high ink by running expensive things like Monsters, Dragons, or Knights for a Day, and so on, while most other decks tend to cap out around 6 or 7 ink. Speaking of things to ramp into, Lucky Dime, a 7-ink uninkable item with exert and pay 2 ink, gain lore equal to the chosen character's lore pips. Wild! This is also our first non-character legendary, and boy does it deserve it. This seems to be what Scrooge was designed to bring out for free, and what Audrey was designed to ready. In that kind of deck, perhaps with Tamatoa or Strange but Special, you could rack up an insane amount of lore. There are going to be plenty of decks trying to pull off the Lucky Dime, but time will tell if they actually end up working. Our final new card is Steel, Simba Rightful King. Man, all these adult Simba arts look the same and have very similar subtitles. They really need to diversify these a bit. Anyway, he's a 4/6/1 lore for 5, with when he banishes a character in a challenge during your turn, an opposing character can't challenge on its next turn. That seems fine, but also very slow. He'll be good in draft, but I don't think he'll see any play in Constructed. We're only a couple weeks away from LGS release of Into the Inklands, but there's still more than half the set to be revealed. I'm guessing we'll be seeing a lot more cards over this week and the next. Get in the comments, which Atlantis card are you most looking forward to trying out?